Welcome to the very first podcast of 2026. My name is Melissa Nielsen, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today. So, today I thought I would talk about sort of my personal theme for the year that you're going to see peppered in through all of my work and definitely in the pieces that I'll be sharing of our personal life. And then also, I thought I would talk about what we have coming up for the new year, at least for the first quarter, when it comes to programming for Waldorf Essentials and for, excuse me, and for Auriel's Light as well. So, first, let's start with this theme. This theme is something that's actually born out of a lot of struggle that has happened in our lives here in the Nielsen house. Struggle I'm not ready to talk about yet, but massive struggle in the last 6 months for myself, my children, my home, and just my family in general, my husband too. And that struggle has led me to pray like I've never prayed. And I've been through some garbage, y'all. I had a stroke, had an adult child leave us. I've had to send a child to live with his father that I didn't want to send. Like we've had a lot of stuff. I've lost babies. Like, we've had some stuff. We've been through some stuff. And yet this last year, has taken the cake. Never have I had as much struggle and never have I thought I would get broken as much as I did in this last year. So we've had a lot of trauma, and the Nielsen's are really looking for 2026 to be smoother. And in that, we're also intentionally creating some spaces for ourselves. And with that is this thing that comes to me time and time again over the last 6, 8 months. It's like it will not leave me alone. Like, I don't know, maybe because God said it. Be still and know that I am God. And it's so, so hard because, when we are struggling, it is no matter what it is, life, death, marriage, divorce, kids, like all, it doesn't matter what it is. There is this temptation to allow things to be more hectic and to feel more hectic and to let our rhythm get all out of control because we're trying to deal with like internally balancing ourselves and being grounded, right? And as mothers, we're often trying to do it not just for ourselves, but for everybody, like for everybody in our home. The whole house often revolves around whether or not we are doing okay. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. And it's pressure I think we put on ourselves, sometimes unnecessarily. But I really felt that time and time again, this like it kept coming up and kept coming up. I would take my prayers to the altar, I would get on my knees, and I could just like I could feel God's hand on my back and saying, "Be still. Melissa, be still. You'll be okay. Be still. No matter how hard it's been, be still." And so I'm really exploring more stillness, which is really hard for a cleric sanguine, really hard for the parent of a cleric sanguine. And so she is super busy. But as a family, we are bringing this in and exploring this space of stillness. Doesn't mean we're not doing things. I just think for like we're taking that to another level, that stillness and intentionality to another level. So I'm hoping in my stories and stuff on Instagram, you'll see me painting more and you'll see more books that I'm reading this year and maybe some more art pieces, that sort of thing, more knitting, things that I love to do and that it is really easy to get all off kilter with when we are not in stillness. So, with that, I actually picked up this great book. And I was listening to the Hallow app during Advent. And I wouldn't consider myself a Catholic, but I really enjoyed the Hallow app. I love what they put together. I know it costs money, but I treated myself to that this Advent because I really needed some extra help. I told you guys in a previous podcast I was going to mass every day and really needing that space of grounding. So I'm going to encourage you. Doesn't matter what it is. Again, like I said, I wouldn't consider myself a Catholic, but it was a space for me to go and feel like, okay, wait, I don't have to think about this part on my own. I can just show up and let God. I can be still and let God. And I could do that anytime, but I really needed that as this extra piece for myself. And so, like I said, I started listening to the Hallow app over over Advent, and Chris Pratt was talking about this book. It is called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and it's by John Mark Comer, and it is definitely rooted in Christianity. This man is a minister, and the foreword is written by a minister, but it explores this space of like, why are we in such a damn hurry all the time? Like, we have to slow down because joy is stolen. Love is stolen when we're hurried. And I've been a really present parent. You know, of course, we all have times when we're not super present. We're trying to get people out the door and that kind of thing, trying to get shoes on kids, trying to remember things. And oh my gosh, the dog just barked. Everybody has those moments, right? But when they become habitual and they become so much that then we're just doom scrolling at the end of the day to try to like get our dopamine hit, right? That's when there's a problem. And so I wouldn't say I have a problem with that, but I was really attracted to this space and the things that Chris Pratt was talking about with regards to this book. So I ordered it like right after I listened to the first one, and and it like didn't get here till just the other day, like after Christmas, after Advent. So it didn't get here till after Advent, but it's here finally. And I have dove into it, dived into it, dove into it. I dove into it, past tense, dove into it, and I'm having a hard time putting it down now. And it is definitely going with my feelings of stillness and wanting to really cultivate more stillness in my life. In fact, I found myself this morning when I was reading thinking, where was this book 10 years ago? 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I had a 4-year old, a 9-year-old, a 13-year-old, an 18, and a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And our lives were intentional, but they were full of hurry. And I do believe that things come to us when they're supposed to. And so this is in my life now. But if I can impart anything to you, it is like really think about your space of stillness and cultivating that. And guess what? It takes a lot of time to sort it out. It takes a lot of forgiveness and it takes a lot of saying no to things. I noticed something interesting about Soraya in the last couple of weeks, two different instances where she was so she's 14 and a half and smart as a whip. Smart as a whip. So many 14-year-olds are in that space. Like their intellect is being born. They're very interested in things, right? And what I noticed about her was her attention when adults were speaking. This last weekend, we were in a spot where there were other teenagers there, but they were not all of them, but a lot of them were on their phones or zoned out, not really paying attention to the adults that were speaking. And the adults were giving great talks, great conversations. And then 2 weeks ago, we were in another spot at a Christian community service where the priest was talking. And he was giving a great talk about sort of the Christmas liturgy and why it goes for 12 days and all of that and what this is supposed to do for us. And she was at rapt attention. And that rapt attention made me realize just how she's not running around with one of these. She's not like running into those other pieces. And she asked me today, we were having this conversation about like, what do you think? She was asking me, what do you think makes me different than other kids? And why are there other kids that seem like they don't have time for art, don't have time for writing? And that's of course not every other kid, but some kids that she's, had experience with. And I said, well, I think there's not a lot of time for boredom in their lives. A lot of kids are really overscheduled. And I think about like where I was 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, did we have more things? Didn't have more things, but I had more kids at home. And so when I had five kids at home, even one or two activities per child that was not the same, multiply that by five kids, that's, like a lot of activities. So, I asked myself, what would I have done differently? And I probably wouldn't have done anything differently. I'm like a no regrets kind of person. But I definitely think I may have been a little more intentional about a few things. And, I think about now, Soraya has karate 3 days a week. When we lived in San Diego, Soraya, Samuel, and Eleanor were all in different karate classes. And I remember the day that the dojo owner came to me and he said, and we, at the time, it was before we moved to the beach. This was actually why we moved to the beach. We were living across town. It was probably a 30-minute drive just to get to karate, 30, 35 minutes. And he came to me and he said, you're going to hate me, but I'm going to need you here on Saturdays now too. And we were already like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. And I remember thinking, oh, his name was Mark. I remember thinking, Mark, you know what you're doing to me? Like, because it was so much, but the kids were so invested. And so we figured out a way. We moved closer, and in moving closer, it reduced our busy, it reduced all of those things, and it allowed us to have less hurry in our lives. It was great. Kids could walk on their own. That made it easier. And we lived by the beach, and that totally slowed us down. We walked to a lot more places. And so I guess what I'm saying is, as you're really thinking about what you need in your own life to reduce hurry and to have more stillness, don't be afraid to make big changes like that. Don't be afraid to move across town. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say, you know what? I know you really would like to do that, but this semester you're already doing this thing. I actually had to do that today. We were talking about she takes a class at the Florida Film Academy, and there's another great class coming up. And I said, yeah, but I don't think we can afford that time. I don't want to be running around crazy. And she agreed. And so it's about what we set our kids up for. Are we setting them up to like embrace stillness, to embrace love and joy and like that space of intentionality? Are we setting them up for busy? And it really starts with how we're looking at ourselves. So just wanted to share that with you. Little piece of stillness. So remember Psalm chapter 46, verse 10, be still and know that I am God. It's just, and again, it doesn't matter what name you put on God. Think about that space of stillness because every religion, every spiritual practice has a space of stillness. Why are you resisting? I've asked myself that. Was I resisting? Was I just not paying enough attention to stillness? So that's my invitation to you for stillness. All right, our lineup for the first quarter. So as I was this is going to serve for Auriel's Light. We're going to talk about Auriel's Light, what things we have coming up for that. So first of all, we did start a biography. We started a biography in September, October, and we have one more section to do. And I'm actually going to be recording that, not today, I'm recording that this week and getting that together, probably actually this week or next week, getting that together and putting it up with the handouts. So we're not going to miss that last bit of biography work. Don't worry about that. But I wanted to start the lives off with this new theme that we're doing for the year. So my theme for Ariel's Late is God, family, work, and really being able to embody each topic in each quarter. So January is going to be starting with this theme of God. And that with that, we're going to be creating an in-depth inner work program for yourself. So how do you do that? How do you create something for yourself that's in depth that you'll stick with? So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and we'll have a little meditation. And we'll probably get back to children's stories at some point this year, but we don't have any children's stories in the lineup right now. Um, they will be soon. We have other announcements that are coming with regards to Auriel's Light and some other projects we're working on, but I can't talk about them just yet. So just know that the stories, we did have somebody ask when are the children's stories coming back. They will be back soon. Actually, not soon. They will be back hopefully in 2026, but not soon. Maybe like the second half of the year. Okay, and then in February, the theme will be family, and we're going to talk about rhythm during crisis, which is something the Nielsen's know a lot about. So I'll be sharing some things that really helped us, and then I'm planning to have some handouts to sort of help facilitate. Like what helped me was just step back and go, all right, what's the bare minimum this week? Like I love making sourdough, but I actually am just now getting back to it because in October I was like, listen, y'all, we're gonna have to buy bread for a while. And that's okay. And I made choices I wouldn't normally want to make, but I did. And everybody goes in those places. So totally understand. And we'll talk about sort of some of those things like rhythm during crisis, depending on where your rhythm's at already, and what you can do to sort of help you through crisis. So that will be in February. And then in March, we're going to talk about balancing our vocation as mothers. Some of us work inside the house, outside the house, homeschool, some don't homeschool. How do we balance that vocation as a mother? And also then be able to serve ourselves, take care of ourselves, take care of the children, take care of our relationship with God, all of those things. So we'll talk about that in March. Okay, and then we're going to continue with that God family work theme again in second quarter, and we'll be announcing the topics for that coming up. I do really want to help you build a good spiritual program for yourself and your home. And so we're going to be talking about that several times this year. We're going to start with ourselves and then dive a little deeper. I will have a podcast also on this as well. So if you can't come to the live Auriel's Light, you can grab the podcast and at least it will give you some of the highlights of some of the things that we'll be talking about. But if you come to Auriel's Light, then you have the opportunity to ask questions and to sort of dialogue with me and help you with your specific situation. So there's that. And then also I wanted to say, just in case you didn't catch this in some of our other programming notes, office hours is free now. So if you need help with your homeschooling, there is zero reason to not come to office hours. Office hours is free. This is something that I just have felt for so long that it needed to be a space where just anybody could come, and we were trying to figure out how to make it work, and we've made it work. So come and get reflection. You can ask curriculum questions, spiritual questions, partner questions, all the things that you can do at office hours. Come ask questions. I'm happy to help you. Planning questions, all the things. Also, Planning for Peace is also free now. So you can come to Planning for Peace. We usually have Planning for Peace 4 times a year. The next one will be, I believe, in April. But watch our Instagram. And if you have any questions, you can always email us and we will be happy to help you with navigating those times. Okay, hop on over to Auriel's Light and you can find the schedule for the gatherings and sign up for that. And if you've got questions, let us know. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful start to your year. My prayer for you is that you have stillness and less hurry in your life. And that if you're going through trauma and struggle like we have been, that you know how much you are loved. Much love to you.
Homeschool parents, this is a message for you. As a homeschooler, I know you work hard for us. You have many different things to manage.
Our Thinking, Feeling, Willing program is your roadmap to a successful Waldorf homeschool journey. Gain the confidence you need to be the teacher your child wants and transform your homeschool experience. Homeschooling with Waldorf Essentials is one like no other. You not only have curriculum options, you can also add our Thinking, Feeling, Willing program onto your curriculum. What's in the Thinking, Feeling, Willing program? Rhythm, inner work, temperament, the Waldorf curriculum, learning and strengthening your skills in music, circle time, form drawing, handwork, painting, drawing, modeling, festivals, reading, writing, spelling, eurythmy and movement, and our bonus content. Something else you'll get when you join Waldorf Essentials that you will not find anywhere else is the community, and we all need that as homeschoolers.
This is your invitation to fill your cup. We know you're rooting for us. We are rooting for you too.